Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. We are doing a contact form video. I have one I made a couple of years ago, and ultimately we do things a little bit differently now, and wanted to just share an updated view on how to do forms with Next.js. We're going to be sending the emails with NodeMailer, so this is great for contact forms and things like that. So we're using Next 13. I will use the app directory. It doesn't really matter for this. I don't think there is going to be too much of a difference in what we do. But we have our home page here. So let me just start with let's do this properly, and let's add a link to a contact page. I was going to say contact us, and I have just set up a real basic Next.js application here. So let's width full, height full, flags, justify, center. Come on, justify, center, item center, width full, height screen. There we go. We did it. We centered a div. Now with the new Next 13 app router, I'm not going to go into too many details on this because it's really not the point. But we're going to create a contact folder and then a page. And let's export a default function and call it contact page. And we're just going to return a div, contact us. And let's at least make it a little bit presentable. So say MX auto, max width. 2XL. I'll put a bit of padding on it as well. And we can build our form in the space. So contact us. It's awesome. So a form. Don't really need a div actually. Let's wrap it in a form. And should really do a few things. Now, one thing I will do is I'll wrap each input of the form in a div. So we're going to say label for and the name, input text, ID is name. So let's have a look. Name, and we have a form input. So I'm just going to switch this class name, width full, flags call, so they're on top of each other, like so. And you see that this is now spanning the whole thing, and I'm not really going to worry about style on this. It's not really the point. Let me just check autocomplete. Autocomplete equals off. I'm not sure why that's not working. Oh, because it's on a label. Duh. Let's move that onto our input, and that will be a good autocomplete off. And then, okay, so we have a name. Let's do also email. So the type of this, let's make it an email as well. So we get some error messages here. If we try and submit the form, that won't work. So name, email, and then let's simply add in a text area like so. We'll just say rows equals for placeholder how can we help you, like this. And then we can add width full of that as well. Awesome. So then each of these divs, I'm just going to put like margin y on each of them, like so. And then let's wrap the text area in a div as well. Just get it formatted relatively neatly. Cool. And then, like I said, I'm not going to worry too much about styling this, but let's just chuck a couple of bits in here. So we can just do font bold on that, text gray, 800. Make that stand out a little bit. And then on the actual input itself, we'll do the same for both the input. Let me just do this first, class name equals. We can add one in here as well. So we can just do pattern for BG gray 50 border dash gray dash 100. And that should be fine for now, honestly. Yeah, perfect. Name, email, and then I'm just going to be a little bit picky and just get rid of this and chuck in a label as well. So the label for text area, I'm going to give that a name equals message, HTML for message. I'm just going to call that message. Name, email, message, nice. And then let's just add a button. The type of this is going to be submit. And we say send message. I can just quickly make this look like a button, so we can say px4, py2, like width of something like 24. BG gray, let's do 700, text white, font medium, whatever, it doesn't really matter. I think that should be button looking. I won't round it because we didn't round anything else. Send message. So let's bump the width, I don't really want it to wrap like that. Nice, and then we can just chuck some margin on the top. Cool. So when we hit enter now, we you can see we're populating the URL query there. So we can use some validation on here. So we can say required on the name and on the email. I mean, I guess you need a message as well. You can say on a message, min length is 10, max length equals 500, something like that. I don't want too many essays. Again, email, you can do the same, min length, like 5. Don't really get email shorter than that. Max length, maybe we say 150. And then we can do that again on the name. So min length, maybe they just put their first name. Max length, 150, fine. So we have a bit of validation now. So we can't just submit it kind of blank and blind. And then the email, it must be an email as well. So we've got some validation going on in the form. So really basic form, however, decent functionality out of the box. Now let's get to submitting the form. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say on the form, I'm just going to say on submit, and then we'll give it a handle submit function, and then we can define our function. So we're just going to call it async function handle submit, which takes an event, and we're going to do stuff here now. So we do want to prevent the default as the first thing. Event.prevent default, and essentially we're going to say const data, and we're going to say name, I'm going to grab the name, email, and a message. So we have our data now. And at this point, I'm just going to say like this must be a string. So we get no funny business. Well, we're not saying it has to be a string, but we're converting it to a string. So it will be a string anyway. But good practice. We don't have a type on that. That's why it's getting an error. So I'm just going to say, yeah, that can be anything. So essentially, we have our data. And we are ready to submit this. Let's just check our data. So we console log it. This is not necessary. I just want to show you. Handle submit data, console log data. Where is that coming from? Yeah, and because this is using event handlers, it must be a client component. So what I'm going to do here is create a component just to follow best practice, and I'm going to export default function contact form, and this is relating to server components. So what I don't want to do is just say this whole page is a client component. So I'm going to actually just make this part of it, just the form, be the server component, and we can abstract our logic into here. And of course, we're going to use client like so. So we have that now, contact form, and then we're just going to bring in our contact form like this. And it will now like console log in that. And importantly now, this is going to happen on the server. So if we bring up the console, can clear that, get rid of the URL params, you say adam@gmail.com, and type in a message, hit send, and we get our object on the client as we expected. So we're ready to do something now. So the first thing I want to do is send this data to our server. So I'm just going to create a pages directory. I'm going to call it pages. I'm going to make a folder called API. And then I'm just going to do new file contact.js. And essentially we're now going to say const response equals await fetch. Yep, API contact, that is correct. Method is going to be post. Headers we're going to send across is application JSON body. We're going to stringify the JSON data. So that is all good. And then if the response is okay, then I'm not going to do an alert right now. So we can just say console log message sent successfully. If not response okay, I'm going to do that. So when we send a message successfully, what I'd probably do is like redirect to a different page or send a notification, clear out the form, something like that. We don't really need to do that here, honestly. We're good for now. So let's see what we get. So API contact, perfect. So I'm just gonna close out of this now and just add node mailer. We need that. And what we do with node mailer is use it to send email. So I'm going to use Gmail to send email just because that's easy for me, but any SMTP server you can use it with node mailer. So I'm going to import node mailer from node mailer like so. And then we want to, we want to do this. I made this a JavaScript file, so we don't have to worry about TypeScript. We need to return something like this if it's successful. Assign arrow function to a variable before export default async function. Takes a request response like this, and we're just going to call it contact API, like so. So our data is going to come through like this: name, email, message. So that is great, and this is the point where we should do some validation. I don't really want to go into that, but you could look at doing some simple regex to check if it's an email. There is proper libraries for doing this, but all I'm saying is, before you send any emails or anything like that, I would definitely do some testing. So the next bit is just boilerplate, really. I mean, I'm just going to make a data object now. So we've got name, email, and message in here. Oops. And then we're good to use that. And then let me just copy. So we're going to create our node mailer, create transport. Node mailer has actually got really great documentation. If you go onto their website, yeah, I say great. It's not bad. You can get what you need to out of here. It goes into some stuff that is well beyond the scope of this, and obviously there is a lot of options for sending mail. So yeah, we're going to create the transport, and then essentially we're going to do a, where's my autocomplete gone? We're going to do a try catch. So we get an error. I'm just going to console log the error, and then we're going to send the response stars 500. And we can send a message. Could not send the email. Yeah, please try again later. Your message was not sent. And of course, if this is a real project, then you really want to be handling these on the front end and getting people to resubmit, right? That's kind of the whole point. But now we want to use this transporter and send the mail, and we're going to do that equals, I mean, it's do this with Copilot. You don't need a tutorial. So transporter send mail, and then the from is actually going to be the user that you pass in here. So I've got an environment variable file. It has user, which is my Gmail username, and it has a pass, which is a Google application password, and you need to do that to send this mail. So don't forget to set that up. It won't work if you don't have those. It's kind of annoying to Google application password. Yeah, I think you can create them in this password manager. You may need to enable a setting to send email from unsecure apps. I don't remember. I haven't done it in a while. I always just use the same application password for all applications, which is probably not great either. So we're going to send mail. From is going to be the user, and then let me just user equals that, I don't need password again, but just to make this a bit clearer. So it's coming from the user. It's going to, and then this is where we'll put in the email we want to receive this. So I'm just going to put in, let me just put in a different email address so I can test this. So I put in my business email. One thing that's really, I would say, important to remember is this reply to. So it's going to come from your own email address. So you can't really send emails from other people's email. So it's going to come from you, but the reply to needs to be the email of whoever submitted the form. The subject. So let's just contact form submission from name. That is fine. And then you can do a couple of different things. I usually just do HTML in here and basically put in a string. HTML. Wait, where is that weird character? There we go. It's remapped all of the fields because the laptop I have, they're all in the wrong place. So yeah, we've got HTML here, so we can just put in whatever. So we can say paragraph, name, email, message. And we should be good. So this mail object will contain a message ID. So I think I did in the last one as well. Console log. Yeah, something like this. Message ID. Cool. So let's give this a try. So if I send this again, message has been sent, and then you can see, I don't know how well you can see on the camera there, but message received. So that is all good. It worked. Let's have a look what we got in the front end. So we got a message sent successfully, which is nice. And then the only bit I don't really remember, let me just see if I have the code. Nope, not doing it there. So a couple of bits I would say that are nice to haves on here. So because this is on the client, we can of course use React. So we can say loading equals, no, I'm not doing that right. Loading, set loading, use state false. And then we can pull in import use state from React. And yeah, important that this goes below the use client. The use client must always be at the top. And then in handle submit, let's do set loading true. If response is okay, then we want to set loading to false. And then here you can set loading to false as well. Then on the button, let's do a couple of classes. So we said disabled, BG gray 400, disabled text gray 100, and that should make it really clear that that is disabled. And then we just say disabled equals loading like that. So when it's loading, then it's disabled. So you'll see. Okay, nothing really happened there. Let me try that again. getting emails. Send message, yeah, so you can't submit again. Well, unless you just do that and send it twice. And then the other bit that I want to do is just, let me see if Copilot can tell me how to do it. Reset the form. I mean, that will work, I'm sure. So send message. Yeah. Awesome. So that is how I do contact forms now. Like I said, if we got an error, then yeah, you could get the response message if you wanted to do this. Like let's say you do some validation on here, and interestingly, I'm not using that data body. I'm just thinking, what am I even sending? Yeah, if you did some data validation, let's say here on the fields, and then you returned a response of like a user error because they were submitting something that's dodgy, you could say const error equals await response.json, and you can say, yeah, if error.message, then you might want to do something like, you know, toast up, throw a toast for that error message or something like that, right? That's more than reasonable as well, and that's how you would handle that properly ultimately on that, as opposed to just ignoring it. And yeah, that's how I'm doing forms nowadays. So don't need to use a library. I think it is really important that it's validated on the back end, but other than that, hopefully that is useful, and yeah, I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.